Hey everyone, thanks for joining the channel today. I appreciate you being with me. So today we're going to be talking about tax loss harvesting. And yes, it's always fun when we're able to try to talk about ways to save you more money on taxes. But hopefully this video you're able to take away, if it makes sense for you, if it doesn't, how to implement it. You might want to use an advisor to do that. But before we dive in, like, subscribe, comment if you feel the need. And without further ado, we'll dive straight in. Okay, so tax loss harvesting, let's dive straight into it. This is a topic that's becoming more and more talked about. People are starting to catch on to it. And I want to first start by giving an example. I think that will be the easiest way to chat about what exactly this is, the pros, the cons. So let's say that I invested $100,000 in Ford stock yesterday. I don't know why I would do this. I'm not saying anything about Ford stock, the company. I like the company, great company, but I just don't like investing in individual companies. That's why I say that. But let's say I did. For the sake of simplicity, Tyler decided to throw $100,000 in Ford stock yesterday. And I go into my app. I'm getting kind of excited because I think I'm going to see I made a little bit of money. Not too much, but a little bit of money over the past 24 hours. And I'm popping into my app and I see it's down $10,000. Yeah, just my luck. In 24 hours, I lost $10,000. My $100,000 is now 90. And I kind of do a double take. It's confirmed. At that point, one of three things can happen. The first thing is I can say, you know what? I'm going to meditate. I'm going to get this out of my mind. There's a reason why I invested in Ford. It's because I believe in the company. I believe in them long term. I like the company. So it doesn't matter what happened this first day. It's bad luck. I'm just going to stay invested. Okay? That's a rational choice. I like it. The second option is instead of meditating and staying invested, I cry and I sell. I say, you know what? It's only been 24 hours and I've already lost $10,000. What's going to happen next? I don't like this thing called the stock market. I'm taking my money out. I'm placing it at the bank. It's safe there. That's what I'm doing. That's the irrational choice. That's the emotional one. Don't do that. The third option is you kind of see opportunity. A light bulb goes off. You remember this article or this video that you watched about tax loss harvesting. And you say, you know what? I think I remember this strategy. There's an opportunity here. My Ford stock, it was $100,000. Now it's 90. That stinks. But this company over here, it moves the exact same way. Moves the same way. If Ford didn't exist, I actually would have stuck it in this company over here because I like them just as much. Let's say it's Toyota. And Toyota and Ford don't move the exact same way, but for the sake of the example, let's say they do. So that Ford stock is down 10%. So is Toyota. It's down 10%. So you say, you know what? I'm selling off this $90,000 of Ford stock, but I'm going to invest it into this Toyota stock while it's down. So now instead of having 90 in Toyota or in Ford, I have 90 in Toyota. Sure enough, the next day I pop into my app and it's break even. It's back up. The $90,000 in Toyota went up to $100,000. So you're saying, okay, what's the big deal here? You had $100,000 2 days ago in Ford. Now you got $100,000 in Toyota. You haven't lost any money. You haven't made any money in that situation. What's the big deal here? Well, the big deal is when you sold that, or when I sold that Ford stock when it was down $10,000, I created a tax deduction. Okay. And when I invested in Toyota, I kept my exposure in the market. So I created a tax deduction, but I kept everything invested. Pretty sweet deal, right? A couple different characteristics in which that $10,000 tax deduction operates. First of all, if you have capital gains that year, you can use that $10,000 to offset it. Okay. So you can use that $10,000 of losses to offset any capital gains. If you don't have any capital gains that year, you can use up to $3,000 to offset your income. So you can take a tax deduction directly off your income of up to $3,000. So that leaves you $7,000 left over that you can carry forward to the following years. And by the way, you can carry forward that loss indefinitely to deduct from your income. So pretty sweet deal, right? It requires a couple things. One, it requires you to be monitoring your investments, which if you're an investor and you have these different investments, I would tell you don't look at it every single day, right? That'll just drive you crazy. And so naturally, you're probably thinking, okay, well, if I don't look at it every single day, how am I going to tax loss harvest? How am I going to have these opportunities? Get an advisor to do it for you. I do it for all my clients. Well, not me, a member on my team does, where he goes in every single morning. If he sees a loss of $1,000 or more, he'll tax loss harvest it to create a tax deduction for our clients. That's what you should be doing. You should be hiring an advisor to do that. And if they're a good advisor, they do much more than that. Okay. But you want to make sure your advisor does it, because if not, that's a value add that's slipping between the cracks. But it would drive you crazy checking that every single morning until you die to tax loss harvest. That doesn't sound like a good life. That's our job for our clients. So you want to make sure that your advisor is doing it. Now, a couple things to think about here. Number one is if you or if I had invested in Ford stock, not yesterday, but 10 years ago, okay? I threw $100,000 into Ford stock 10 years ago. I check my app today. It's now worth $200,000. Well, what does that mean? I had invested 100, it's now at 200. That means the market is going to have to go down more than 50% for me to have a loss to actually deduct. Okay? So what that really means is the longer you're invested, the more realistically you're going to be phased out of being able to tax loss harvest, because your investments have such a high appreciation that it is very unlikely the market is going to absolutely tank for you to be in the negative and create a tax deduction. Okay, so at a certain point, it's a great thing, but your gains have just outweighed any opportunity to tax loss harvest. Now, let's say you're still in that window where you are able to tax loss harvest. Maybe you're investing new money into the market every single month, and you are able to tax loss harvest. Something to keep in the back of your mind is that scenario when I had a $10,000 tax deduction against Ford stock. Originally, I had invested $100,000 in Ford. And then when I tax loss harvested and invested the $90,000 into Toyota, what that means is my cost basis in Toyota is $90,000 at that point. My cost basis was $100,000 in Ford. I had invested $100,000 in Ford, but when I went over to invest in Toyota when it was down, I had invested $90,000. Okay, so when it bounced back up to 100, technically there's a gain of $10,000. Okay, because my cost basis in the new company was 90, not 100. So when it bounced back up to 100, there is a capital gain of $10,000. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind. There's ways to manage that. If you go and sell off those investments and now you have gains, There's ways to manage that, and you want to talk with your advisor about it. But technically, you did all of a sudden lower your cost basis in the new position. Okay. So hopefully this was helpful. Stay tuned. We're going to be talking about more strategies. There's one that feeds into tax loss harvesting. It's called direct indexing. Many people are not aware of it. You might have heard of it. No, it's not index funds. It is direct indexing. It's a unique strategy that amplifies the opportunity to tax loss harvest. But that's for another video. So hopefully this was helpful. Stay tuned. Thanks for being with me. And until next time.